So you are leaving Altec.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have not a better opportunity, but
I would say that's one of the things that I think if I look back that, I quote unquote did well. I was very patient. I mean, if you love the place you're at
Sure.
and you love the people you're working with, it's not like I'm just jumping at any opportunity that's out there. So let's say I worked with Altec for 18 months, kind of trying to figure out if something's coming. There's another 2 years post that I'm just trying to patiently find the right next step, see what doors God opens, and just Lauren and I are praying through it. And I had other offers at other things that I was just like, this is not, I want to just stay where I am, And I will say it's funny. I finally got to I think maybe I'm just supposed to be here. I'm just supposed to retire from here. And
at Altec.
At Altec. And then just kind of through relationship, I start talking with a guy named Andrew Bender, who had started an independent. So the current branded name is OnPoint Capital, which you brought up before. But when he had the business, it was GSG, Graphic Solutions Group. And man, we joke now, it was like a 6-month courtship. It wasn't even, I would say, like an interview. I flew up to New York. I met with him and his team one time, but we spent maybe once a week, an hour on the phone for probably 6 months before he ever made an offer for me to actually come on board.
And you're still with Altec?
I'm still with Altec, so still grinding there, working there, taking care of everything there. And this thing has kind of popped up. And the reality is, the more I got to know Andrew, the more interested I was in going and learning from him. He is like Duke Law. So his story is, he's Duke Law, went out to California during all the .com stuff and was an attorney, a corporate attorney doing the transactions, and did it for a year. And I think he tells a story. He's like, I woke up at my desk in the clothes I was wearing the day before, and I looked across the hallway, and there was a guy 30 years older than me that just did the exact same thing. And I'm like, I do not want to do this for my entire life.
That's so good.
So he's from New Jersey. So he flies back to New York, and his dad, to this day, still has a copy restoration sales company. So they take
copy machines,
like big monster copy machines. They come in, restore them, and then sell them for a profit. And so Andrew, he's into contracts. He's an attorney.
Yeah.
And so he kind of is exploring like what's next. And he approaches his dad. He said, if I start a finance company to basically, so that you can offer financing to your customers, just like the story with Altec, would you be interested in letting me do that? And his dad said, yeah. So Andrew started what's called Graphic Solutions Group. But once he branched out beyond copiers, he just shortened it to GSG, so he didn't have the graphic in there. So, and he'd had that business for 15 years.
Andrew did.
Yeah.
So Andrew's doing what you were doing at Altec. He is doing that for the dad's copy machine company.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been an independent. You know what I mean? So meaning like they're
not just copiers.
Exactly. Well, and independent of, my first priority is not necessarily financing copiers. My first priority is to finance equipment out there.
Stuff.
But this is a lane that I get to finance. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so it's a little bit different. And you're not associated. When you're an independent, it basically just means you're not associated with a manufacturer, or you're not associated really with a bank. Like you're not a division of a bank. So there's kind of, in equipment finance, there's captives, there's bank leasing companies, and then there's independents. And I fall in that last bucket.
Okay.
So anyway, so that's what Andrew did. And really, man, so he was potentially going to sell his business. So he had kind of branched into other equipment and had gotten into a forklift, full service vision at what is now OnPoint.
Okay.
He met the leader there that built that business. They became close friends. And now he's financing for, essentially offering financing to their customers to finance
the forklift people.
Yep. And so, anyways, man, long story not so long. So what ends up happening is they get private equity, like the forklift company goes through some private equity turns, and they're about to go through another one, and they offer Andrew, hey man, if we brought your company, and would you be the finance division of the new, bigger, larger thing that we're going to try to do in the kind of, Home Depot, moving, lumber in the warehouse kind of stuff. Their mission is they want to go into like a Home Depot and say, you sell lumber, you do that. Let us manage your equipment, like the power, the charging, the batteries, the equipment. We don't sell it, we'll bring it back out if it's down. I mean, we do it all. They need a finance arm to do that. And so what ended up happening was that as transactions go, it was like hot and heavy going to close, then not going to close. And Andrew's vision was, I'm going to need a sales leader and specifically a captive sales leader, someone that understands what it is to be owned by somebody providing an equipment or service.
Like you were at Altec.
And so he just kind of saw that in me. And so what was interesting was the sale, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And I'll never forget the day he finally called me. He's like, hey man, I want to make an offer to you.
He was waiting on the sale.
He was, because I mean, it's
He
like,
couldn't offer you.
he's trying to figure it out, like, does it make sense, you know?
Yeah.
And he calls me and he's just like, look, man, plan A is that this sale happens and all the things that we've been talking about happen. But plan B is the sale doesn't happen. I still want you on the team. Let's go, take over the equipment finance world. And dude, like I said, I mean, he is sharp as a tack. He's one of the most intelligent people I've ever been around. Great. I mean, he's a good combo of like brilliant and also extremely likable, great personality. And I really wanted to just go learn from him. Yeah. I was like, that's why I'm going.
So you left, how long were you with him?
So I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
And I always joke, man, I was with Altec, which is privately held, kind of move at the speed of a glacier, for 12 years, to Manhattan-based, private equity owned, I mean, grinding it out for 3 years. And to me, it felt like the same amount of time. Like it all felt the same.
Did you work, did you just work your face off?
100%. And Andrew hired me on as
Were you making a lot of money working so much?
I would tell you one of the reasons that we ended up doing our own deal was like, it almost got to the point where there's not enough money to make all this worth it. I mean,
sure.
It was really, I mean, I wouldn't say, our family was doing fine. Everything was great. Everybody's, eating and happy and da-da-da. But man, and the plan, to be clear, I mean, it's just, would you pivot and you start, you adapt. The plan was not for me to travel all the time. It was to be kind of a remote leader. And again, back to what I said before, I build better relationships.
You want to be in front of people. You want to have lunch with people and take them to golf.
And especially when you're part of a, let's say, 6-person leadership team and 5 of them are in the home office and you're the only guy on the screen. You know what I mean? And so quickly I'm like, I got to be in the room. And so I just started this habit. I mean, I was up in New York, but we never moved to New York. I didn't have like a permanent place there. But man, I was up there 2-3 weeks a month doing the leadership thing there. And then I'm still having to sell and lead the sales effort for this new thing that we're trying to build. So I'm traveling all over the country in those other weeks to just try to sell and build the business and do all the stuff. So
gosh,
man, it was just a lot. But again, I was learning. So, I mean, I so enjoyed my time with Andrew, and I learned so much from him. And that's really the exposure to an independent, like,
sure,
that you technically could do this on your own, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so long story, not so long, man, as normal private equity story goes, Andrew went to go work with a group of people that he had been, that he was really excited about working with. And when new management comes in, a lot of times they bring in their own management and folks start to get let go. And Andrew was doing great. He had plenty of opportunity to stay there. But the people that he went to go work with, they weren't there anymore. And so I think he just kind of was like, I think I've wound my time down. I did my thing. I've done all my commitments that I made when I sold the business. I think I want to step out. And so he told me that. And I was tired. I mean, again, it was a grind for sure.
Yeah.
And it's similar to what his experience was. Like I loved the team at GSG. Again, friends there now, they're incredible. But I really went to work for Andrew. I really wanted to be with him. And so when he left, I'm kind of like, okay, Lord, is this,
what do I do now?
Is it, or is it? I mean, am I supposed to just suck it up and deal with the thing and start, build relationship with new management leaders? And
what year was this?
This is, when all that went down, that's probably like 6 years ago. Cause it was about a year before we decided to step out and launch Battle Horse, and Battle Horse has been around for 5 years. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about 6 years ago, that was going on. Andrew exits, and we get new leadership. And it was somebody that I worked closely with, great guy, and I was enjoying my time with him. But like I said, I kind of hitched my wagon to Andrew. He's gone, so I'm reconsidering. And dude, to this day, I still can't believe we have our own business, because never in a million, that was not my thought. Never
a plan.
Lauren, just to give credit where credit's due. And listen, I'm the one that I'll go skydiving. I want to jump out of airplanes.
Yeah.
I want to do the exciting stuff. She is steady Eddie, keep it safe, keep it secure.
Yeah.
She's the one that actually said, what if you started your own equipment finance business? Like when we were kind of just praying through what was next. And that's where the whole idea even came from, and it came from her.
Did you ever have a time where you didn't have a job there? Like where you left OnPoint and then so tell me about leaving OnPoint and like that transition to say, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah. So, again, hard conversations, I think the leader there kind of, the new leader, not Andrew, the guy named Walter. He started, he took over the business, and he worked for Andrew for a long time, and he's a great guy.
Great guy. Yeah. You've never been involved with bad people.
No, my goodness. And that's, I think, it was a hard conversation with him because I think he was kind of thinking, I thought we were doing this together. You know what I mean? When we kind of planned this thing out, but no, I mean, I knew I never got let go. I actually, they offered me, some other things when I did finally say, hey, I think I'm gonna move on, because it's a growing business. They're trying to scale and figure it out. And but man, once Lauren said it, we committed to praying, some specific prayers, and we kind of committed and said, Lord, if you green light these things, and there was a couple on there that I'm like, big ones, not going to happen. You know what I mean? Sure. Like of course, they came from Lauren, and I'm like, well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then when he greenlit all of them, we just knew that's what we were supposed to do next. Yeah. So hard conversations at OnPoint, but I really was kind of ready to take the next step, and so stepped directly from there. And at the time, the company was called AB Consulting, because I'm not a marketing guy, and I just go get just try to make money.
What can we name it?
Hey, you want to hear a funny story?
Auston Bennett. That's it. I got it.
Funny story.
Yeah.
No kidding. I'm still considering doing this whole thing. I'm actually, one of the prayer requests that, and again, Lauren putting some of this stuff out there was like, not only does it have to be, because I had like little side hustles, I've done some other businesses over the years that just didn't pan out real well. She was like, well, it's got to be in the industry that you've spent the last 20 years. So like,
fair.
You're going to, if you want to start your own business, it's going to be.
You're not going to go build houses.
That's right.
Okay.
And then she says, and I want to know that there's some people that are going to buy from you, right out of the gate. So I'm kind of checking in with some contacts and just being like, hey, if I did this, would you be interested? And what's so funny, man, is it's just, my goodness. I do a deal before I have a company. So I do a transaction, and this is like, it's 5 years ago, people were still writing checks every once in a while.
No business license, no LLC.
I got nothing.
No insurance.
This is just a thought. Like, I wonder if we can do this. And I mean, I'm a sales guy, so when somebody offers you and you can get a chance to close, you close.
I can do that.
So I'm like, yeah. And they're like, who do I make the check out to? I don't have a name. And literally, the first thing that came to mind was AB Consulting. And so I got the check in the first deal before I had a bank. I went to the bank account with the check. I'm like, I need to,
deposit this.
I need to start a checking account with this name on it and deposit this thing. And I need to go now. I got to go do a business license and do all the things. But
like, I'll say this: there are a lot of guys out there that talk about, like it's funny you mentioned the side hustles.
Yeah.
And there's a group of people that say, if you're going to start a pressure washing business, go out and get the business. Then go buy the equipment to go execute.
That's right.
And that's what you did.
Yeah. I mean,
it just did on a larger scale.
And it just worked out. I mean,
yeah,
still like, it
sure.
wasn't, I was just kind of being me and trying to sell and see if I get a deal. And this guy's like, yeah, who do I make the check to? And it's just, so again, so the AB Consulting when we launch, but dude, we launched November of 2019. So
okay, same month I launched Table and Time, which is funny.
So here we go, just in time for COVID.
Yeah,
which was definitely not part of the 1 year plan.
No, definitely.
And the reality is that it's one of those things that we kind of see God's hand on. It's like, if we had waited much longer, would never have launched the business. Never would have stepped out. The whole world shut down. You know what I mean? 4 months after we launched.
I've launched another catering business, event business. 4 months, 6 months before COVID. So, I mean, I get it. Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, what are we doing?
God, we're sure, but like, this is not part of the plan. You know what I mean? We definitely have.
How much did COVID affect your launch point?
In the big scheme of things, again, I know probably so many of your listeners were like greatly affected. The cool thing about what we were doing was that we're transferring paper, and most of that's done digitally. So you don't have to be in the same room. To be very clear, everybody was panicking and freaking out. So nobody was really doing a lot of business.
Yeah.
But our ability to go do deals was really never pulled from us, even though
relatively easy.
We probably felt like 60 days of this when the world just kind of shut down. Everybody tried to figure out where we were.
First 60 days was hard.
Yeah, but I mean, after that, we could continue. I could continue to try to grind from my house. You know what I mean?
Sure. How long until you hired your first employee?
Probably right about a year.
So just you.
Yeah. I mean, I always give Lauren credit. She's there, with me from the beginning, but I'm grinding, through the day, trying to just get the business off the ground. We're about a year in. I've done a couple transactions.
Okay.
And
that's enough did you ever feel squeezed financially?
I don't know that I would say the word squeezed. I mean, I was like freaking out a lot of months. Like, is this really going to work next month? And are we going to be able to close this deal? And is this thing going to happen? I mean, it's like all of that. I had a mentor. That was one of the prayer requests, was I wanted some mentors in my life, one of which was like a faith-based entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so I approached a guy that I'd never met before and that got connected through relationship, and asked him if he would mind. And that was, again, one of the green lights. It's like I wanted these certain people
Who was
in
it?
place. Mark Hancock.
Oh, yeah.
So I go to Mark. So I know Mark, through the Lindsays. Had been in Gatlinburg with him, so kind of been around him, but I really didn't know him. And it was actually, good friend of mine, Blake Lindsay. I'm telling him I'm looking for this person, can you keep your eyes on it? And he's like, he waits a couple weeks, comes back. He's like, have you thought about Mark Hancock? And it's crazy. I was going to Highlands College evening at the time. Yeah. And like unannounced, get to class within 24 hours of Blake saying this. And I think Kellen was a teacher at the time. He's like, hey, guys, a little change in plan. We got a guest speaker tonight. I'm going to come talk to you about order and schedule. Let me introduce Mark Hancock. And here comes Mark walking to the front within 24 hours. I was like, Lord, I hear you. So I walked up to him after, kind of said, hey, do you remember me? Because we've been in the same room. And then anyway, so he was like, no, I'd be happy to have coffee with you. And so I go to him. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of launching my own business. I've got a 20-year career in this deal. Like, is this am I an idiot? Like, what do you think I should do? And he kind of navigated that. But I say all that to say, the line that he gave me was like, man, you want to increase your faith? You want to increase your reliance on the Lord? Launch your own business. It was one of the lines he gave me that I'm kind of like, I think I'm supposed to do this. But little did I know what that really meant and the amount of faith that it takes, So anyways, to answer your question, God's always provided. We never have gone without, but I certainly, man, especially that first 18 months, it's just a transition. It's like, it's completely dependent on closing your stuff to get paid,
I cannot tell you how many times I get asked, hey, Thomas, what do I do with all this money? It's a good problem to have. They say, I made some extra money. I got a bonus. Someone died. We sold our house. We got extra cash. We finally have an answer for you. So let me tell you about this thing called alternative investing. In a nutshell, it's very simple. In a nutshell, it's investing dollars outside of a bank product or the stock market. So what do? We take your money and we loan it out like a bank in an above average return, thanks to the speed that we have and the relationships we have. You get a secure, predictable growth without market ups and downs. So here's it. It's safe and secure. Every loan is a first lien loan, making your investment super protected. We only do business with people that we trust. We only work with experienced operators we personally know and trust. So here's what we do. I usually vet these people by investing my own money in a loan first and then bringing them into this fund. So what they do is they're only investing in flipping in high quality real estate. Alabama is an extremely stable, growing market and makes it a smart place to invest. So the other thing is it's consistent cash flow. Your money works for you and it can be super passive. This is a true example of just extreme passive income. Or if you don't need the money every month, you can compound it because we compound the dollars quarterly. Okay. An asset-backed investing, unlike stocks, your investment is secured by real property. So here's a question I get. What money can you use? Okay. So let's run down this list. Money already in the market, self-directed IRA funds, savings account or money just sitting around doing nothing because it's going to make 2% and you're going to have to pay taxes on that, or money you get from a bonus at work. Okay. You need access to your funds. That's okay. We offer a 60-day return of capital if the emergency comes up. So here's what you have to do. Go to thomascox.co and hit the invest tab at the top. And we're happy to talk to you about how you can invest with alternative income fund. In the sales business, everything is based off of, what's in the pipe, like what's in the pipeline. Yep. And at OnPoint and at Altec, you had multiple years of a pipeline that were, like you said, some things were coming to fruition 12, 18 months down the road.
That's right.
You have no pipe. Okay. And so you're having to close faster things in order to get back to the rhythm of what you are.
100%.
So who was your first hire?
So Deb Winstead. It's really funny. Mike and Deb are really close friends. Mike works at Battle Horse now. So I closed kind of the second, I would say the second large transaction. I'd done some smaller ones. And it had a bunch of titled equipment, so like over the road stuff. And there were like 100 titles that needed to be organized and sorted and filed the right way. And I'm trying to sell new deals. And so I'm like, again, I talked to more of a business mentor. I'm like, do you think it's time for me to hire somebody? And it's so funny. Hiring the first part-time, 20-hour kind of a week committed person was it may have been the scariest hire that I've ever made. You know what I mean?
So scary.
I mean, and it was really interesting. And it's just timing, man. I'm talking to Lauren about that. Like, I wonder if there's somebody.
And y'all
out
are
there.
buddies with the Winsteads.
100%.
Yeah, y'all have done
some of our closest
vacations
friends,
and things like that. Yeah.
We met in small group 13 years ago. So this is 8 years after that. You know?
Right.
And it's really funny because we have a pretty tight process around hiring at Battle Horse now. So we do Enneagram disc testing, cultural assessment.
Oh, wow.
Multiple interviews. Like, we really try to kind of get to know the person. But the first hire at what is now Battle Horse was done in a Smoothie King parking lot in like 10 minutes.
That's right.
I mean, Mike had mentioned that Deb may be interested in going back to work. Their kids, they were both in school, and she had a little more time. She was talking about going to work part-time. She had said something to Lauren about it, and I'm at the Smoothie King over there by, whatever, Lifetime.
Right.
She's walking out, I'm walking in, and I'm like, hey, would you have any interest, doing some part-time work and support me? And she was like, yep, I'll do it. I'm like, you will? She said, yeah, and was hired. And that was it. I mean, within 24 hours, we kind of did an hourly deal. And dude, I mean, she's still there now.
Yeah.
I tear up thinking about just like her, she was a stay-at-home mom while the kids were small again.
Right.
But she was at Blue Cross before. So, I mean, she had some corporate experience. But to take the leap, take the risk, do the thing, and I mean, learn a business.
A whole new thing.
From the bottom up. I mean, and I'm asking her to do all the things.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I need all kind of support while I try to go close transactions. So I can't remember how long. I mean, maybe another 6 months after she got on, we kind of had some cash now generating in some more traditional business or regular repeat business. And then we made full-time hires.
Who was your first hired full-time? They're going to do high level stuff. Who was that first person?
I don't remember the order, but it's either Zach Battles, who's my son-in-law, who works at Battle Horse.
Yeah.
In an inside sales position. Mike Winstead.
Yep.
Who's now our chief operating officer. And then, Mekon Carter came and worked with us for a little while. All I can tell you is about the same time, those kind of, all of those folks were just, in the deal. Oh, you know what? No. I remember. Hired Deb. First full time was, we'll stop that and edit it. So,
that's fine. Yeah. So you hired Deb, and then who was your first, I say this, the first employee that was a different, a full-time doing all the things.
Yeah. So Deb's kind of doing all things, right?
Yeah.
And doing it part-time. The two things that I've never really been great at that I've always needed support would be accounting. So I had gone out and gotten all of my accounting outsourced right out of the gate to make sure I had solid financials, with a CPA. And it was time for me to hire a credit person. And so, doing underwriting. So imagine a package, I get an opportunity that comes in.
You didn't ever do that with the other stuff?
No, I mean, I can do it, but I'm not good at it. It's not, again, that's more of I'm going to sit down, spread the financials, put this thing together, write up and do all the stuff. And I mean, in the beginning, man, I had to do all of it. The docs, the thing.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
But I knew that I needed to get a really good credit person in. And we hired a young lady named Madeline Mackin, who actually is just now exiting the business. We've got another credit person coming in. She's got a family business that she's going to go into. And she was the first full time. And similar to Deb, I did spend more time interviewing her. She was at a bank. She had been in bank credit for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And so she had good experience, came highly recommended by a friend. And I remember I went to met her at Red Cat downtown. Yeah. That was our first deal. And I left there, and Lauren's like, LB's calling me. She's like, hey, what'd you think? And I'm like, buddy, she's awesome, but there's no chance she's going to leave the bank and come to our
startup.
There's one and a half of us. You know what I mean? There's no.
We don't even have an office.
There's exactly right. I'm like, there's no chance she's coming aboard. And dude, I always give her the most credit. She's just credit person, but she is a tough woman. She's strong personality, man, gets junk done,
That's
fighter.
Great.
So she called me within 24 hours and she's like, hey, I want the job. And I said, okay, great. And I'm like, we started negotiating the deal and got her to a number, and the rest was kind of history. And so she jumped on, and really, it's interesting. She was the first full-time hire. And again, for just listeners out there, delegating the things that you're not strong.
Oh, Gotcha.
Do it as quickly as possible, because what ended up happening was I got to, now that I had Deb and Madeline, I got to focus on just selling.
Making money.
Which just drove more revenue, which then allowed us to start building out a leadership team and get a CFO. I mean, it's like all of that. It's crazy, man. It's like it takes 2 years, and then all of a sudden, it was like we were going 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? And this, it felt.
But it took that long to develop it.
100%.
But it went by super fast because you were working and you were training, and everybody was doing 4 jobs and all that. So you hired a guy that is probably one of the most important people in my life.
Okay.
Alan Drew.
Yeah, come on, man. I forget that you guys are all buddies. That's awesome.
So Alan Drew and Jason Bowman had more impact on me than probably, for sure, top 5 people in my life.
Just best friends? I mean,
Well, he was 2 years older than I was in high school.
That's right. Yeah.
And just was the human that was the voice, the hand, it's like the story in the Bible where the guy's on the side of the road and all these people are passing by and just they're not acting like Jesus.
Yeah.
He's the guy that stopped and acted like Jesus.
Come on.
And but he's my best friend at the same time. Yeah. But the impact that this guy had on me during 15 to 18. Mm-hmm. Now tell me how pivotal those years are. Mm-hmm. Was astronomical.
Yeah.
And so, again, one of the most important people in my life.
Man, he and Stephanie are both. Stephanie works at Battle Horse now.
I did not know that.
She just started. She's she's over all of our human resources.
Yeah.
And doing a great job.
Yeah.
So big fan of the Drews.
Yeah.
Met them, I don't know, man, 8-9 years ago.
Yeah, sure.
And just friendship.
Yeah.
And then when he was looking for a new opportunity, he and I, again, we talked about it for kind of when he was trying to just figure out what he wanted to do next for a better part of a year before he kind of said, hey, I'm ready to step and do it. And he's doing awesome. Man, it's the one thing that I always say that I don't feel like I have done much well.
Yeah.
Everything can be better. The only thing that I really feel like I've done well is we have an incredible team at Battle Horse. I mean,
I know a lot of those people, and they're great people.
I mean, just great people that want to be on mission together. And I can't believe it. I still am, I'm blown away with who's willing to say yes and come on the journey with us.
How many employees do you have?
So we have 17
Golly.
now. Yeah. And now we've got an accounting department and a credit department and a sales department and an operations department. And so, and we're continuing to kind of build the team. We've got some exciting things that we're expectant for in 25 that would really allow us to scale and potentially triple the size of the company pretty quick.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think there's more coming. You know
Sure.
what I mean? We're gonna figure it all out. But
how does Battle Horse make money?
Yeah, so back to the example, that we talked about, kind of with that.
This is not the other company, so it's your company.
Right.
So you can tell all the numbers.
But it's the same deal. So it's still, man, it's high volume, kind of low margin business.
Okay,
that's 100% true. But we're doing what we did at Altec Capital for the most part.
Yeah,
which is we close on a transaction. Depending on the size, we normally just fund it ourselves.
Okay. And
then manage a payment or two, and the entire time our syndications department is trying to sell that paper to a funder that we're in relationship with. And every time we sell one of those deals, I mean, we're at for profits. There's got to be, there's a little margin in it.
Yeah.
And we just do that over and over again.
What do you do? So you talked about you've got to have a surplus of cash to like. I guess it's kind of like an EMD loan. Like you got to have
you better have access to it. And so what we had to do to launch the business, and it really is got in with a local bank here. Mm-hmm. That is just a huge part of our success story. They believed in us, started buying a bunch of paper from us. They ended up giving us a warehouse line. So essentially, we would
like a line of credit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what is a I never heard that term.
So in our space, it literally means it's not an operating thing. It's like you're only closing lease transactions, filing on deals that there's a UCC filed, there's a cost to it. We're going to fund those with the expectation that you're going to sell it.
You're going to sell it in 2 months.
Yeah.
So let me just give a high level example. Mm-hmm. We're going to fund a deal. We're going to fund a deal for $1 million, and the bank is going to give us the $1 million.
Correct.
Once they give us the $1 million, we're going to go sell that thing for however much. I don't even know the number, but when we sell it, we'll pay. There's enough money in that after the $1 million.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
To where we're going to pay the bank back their money and some interest.
Yep.
And then we keep a portion.
Yep. And
is that like it in a nutshell?
100%.
Okay.
You said it better than me. That's exactly it.
Yep.
And the bank loves it because it's actually a pretty low risk profile in the sense that like it's new customers that are coming on.
Yeah.
They're not lending to someone that they've got to now hope that we made a good decision over, 5 years with.
Yeah.
And, that particular bank, they were buying a lot of lease paper. So they had first right of refusal for any of the paper. So some of it was like,
we don't want to buy this, but we'll give you the money to go do it.
But they would come in, like on that $1 million example, like they would be the takeout of the $1 million. So they would buy the deal from us, like at the bank. We would, keep our piece, pay the $1 million down like you described. But like they were actually a purchaser of that paper for a long time.
Would they would go sell it too, right?
They could. They absolutely could. Yeah. I mean, next season for us is that we're going to actually build up our balance sheet and probably buy a lot of that portfolio back. So I think they ended up holding a lot of it, but they absolutely can.
Why would you want to buy that back? Because the cash flow?
It really, it's the next season for our business. So everything I just described is, in equipment finance is a syndication model where you're selling everything.
Sure.
Have some warehouse lines. You're kind of turning them, right? If you really want to scale and grow from, $100 million in origination, $100 million in equipment cost to $1 billion, you've got to go get really large warehouse lines, like 250 million. And we're trying to take that step as a company right now. So part of that initial transaction, the reason that we've got investors that are attracted to us is because we've got a kind of a seasoned seeded portfolio. So if they give us, $200 million, they know $100 million of it's going to be immediately filled up and they're making interest on it, out of the gate. And so, right. And that's just, we'll still syndicate, we'll still sell some deals, but that's the next season.
You want to do some of it in-house?
Not some of it. We really want to start doing more, like a lot of it, like literally building a portfolio that's just ours, that literally is on our books, increases the balance sheet.
How many owners are in Battle House? Is it just you?
Yeah, I mean, Lauren and I.
Yeah.
And we had a small equity investor that helped us. So he's got a percentage, and then a lot of the leadership team has got some kind of minority shares, just to keep them interested.
Why did you bring on an investor?
It was one of the prayer requests. It was just having some financial security in a season that like we just do was just new to us. And so we knew this person. And again, we went to a friend who's got, extremely successful, has sold his own business, and he really has a small family office now. He does like 2 or 3 investments, and he was asking for, hindsight 2020, I didn't realize what a great deal we got. He took next to nothing, and just kind of said, hey man, I believe in you. I'll back you. And I'll support you. So it was one of those green lights. But listen, Thomas, I'm telling you, man, the way that God works, and he said yes, and then you see it later. When COVID hit and everything stopped, he was our source, like for our family, with the commitment that he had made from the equity investment he was going to make in the business. So, if we hadn't gotten it again, I don't think the story wouldn't probably be what it is. So,
did that guy that did that, was he also a voice that could speak life into you and help you?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
probably one of those green lights that you asked the Lord for.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, again, there's like, wanted spiritual entrepreneur, wanted, legit equipment finance experienced folks, at the table. And then again, just kind of some pure business folks at the table. And so I had to fill kind of those buckets, but this guy actually has got experience in our space. He can literally speak into the business. He is without a doubt. And again, he's a private investor. So
sure. Yeah. Don't say his name. Yeah.
But, I talk to him once a week and I'm asking him all the things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's, when it comes to just practical application and development, he's really my go-to. So,
man.
And he paid us to do that. You know what I mean? Like he's got an equity stake in the business now, but like that was certainly, I think it was really smart for us. Completely understand, kind of bootstrapping something, not bringing on investors.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when we just kind of got the cards on the table, it made sense for us, especially with what we got to retain.
This is not like starting a restaurant.
Yeah.
This is extremely capital intensive.
Yep.
Even though you knew the business, you got to have some money.
You definitely have to have somebody backing you. So
Sure.
Even folks with, large personal financial statements helps when you're going to a bank and saying, hey, these guys believe in you. These are the people that are backing us. And
what's the worst part of what you do? Don't give me no cookie cutter, esoteric answer. What's the worst part about what you do?
Let's see. The worst part about what I do. So my role specifically right now, the thing that I'm probably recognizing that I need to do, so it's becoming the worst, is I've got to get out of kind of the day-to-day transactions, and I just love doing them. So I'm like, I love doing deals. I love meeting with vendors. I love putting programs together. I love meeting with customers. I love trying to close transactions. But the reality is, for us to scale, I've got to continue to let that part go and really sit in my seat as kind of leader of the business and speak into all of it. And so it's a hard thing for me to kind of to let go of that side.
People say that all the time. So like, it's a very general answer of like, I got to step back and I got to lead. Give me like nuts and bolts of what that is for you. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you think about, and we're still a pretty young business. So, I would say that even the leadership team, and we've got incredible leaders, they still want my voice in pretty much all major things that are going on with the company, which is my responsibility.
That's good. So you'll probably never get out of that.
And what's happening is, as the business gets bigger and more complicated, man, I just find that I've got more of that on my plate than probably I ever wanted or intended, but it's the role that I've committed to for the organization. So I've got to do it. And I'm still, man, we're all putting our thumbprint on this business right now. And I certainly want mine to be part of that. So, I've got to speak into those things. And I'm just recognizing, I mean, it's just my phone's ringing more things are popping up, in every single department. I mean, everybody's making decisions as leaders. And so anyways, that's probably it. Yeah. I mean, there's not, I would not say I love what I do.
Like what you do. Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's just like to even come up with something negative about, my experience right now. It's difficult, but it's, that's probably the worst part. And then, man, when you start something and 17 families jump on board with you, there's a lot of weight that comes with that if you care. You know what I mean? I care about those people.
We've got a season in our calendar where it's just a dip in the way things go financially. It's not going to change. I mean, it's just the way it is, and it's heavy. It's heavy knowing that we may be close to 17. I'm not really sure. But like, it's heavy knowing that you've got X number of kids and X number of parents and X number of, like that you gotta manage that
100%.
And so you're right. That is always on your mind.
It's heavy. It's hard, but it's what you signed up for.
It is what you signed up for. If someone wanted to contact you, reach out, take you to lunch, ask questions, whatever, where could they get you?
Yeah, probably. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, you are.
So, and it's Auston, Auston.
That's
so
right.
Easy to,
I spelled it wrong the
find.
first 6 months. I know it. Yeah, exactly.
So Auston Bennett 1. Certainly can message me there. BattleHorseFinancial.com is the website. You can, there's multiple ways to get in touch with us. Through that, Facebook, whatever.
Sure.
And I'm happy to support anybody out there that wants to do anything. So
great. Yeah. Thanks. Auston was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
See you.